Hey, welcome back to Chicken Fried Growth, where go-to-market, AI, and the Deep South collide. I am your host, David York, and I'm here with Sara Moseley.
Hello.
And we have got a great episode for you today. We are going to be talking about grits, a Southern favorite food. If you have not had grits, you're missing out. We're going to get into that very deeply. And then we're going to jump into why your AI adoption metrics need to be updated, or why you need better AI adoption metrics. But without further ado, let's get into the topic of grits, because this is literally one of my favorite foods. Admittedly, I don't eat grits as much as my heart would like to.
As much as your heart needs.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, I remember my mother making grits and serving them to me. And of course, when you go out to eat at a good Southern breakfast place, grits are usually always on the menu, and I'm very happy to order those every time I see them.
Yes.
But maybe you can help us, Sara. Tell the people what grits actually are from a true Southerner in Alabama.
They're a staple of the diet. Like they're in everything. And it's funny because you talk about them just being for breakfast, but I remember growing up, we would have them at dinner as well. We would have them throughout the day. And grits, of course, are, it's corn pone. Or say, Foghorn Leghorn, you say corn pone. Or hominy, if you're in, South Carolina, that's what they'll call it. But, eating hominy, oh my stars. Yeah, you've got to have, I like mine with butter and cheese. Now, you told me something very scandalous that I think you need to share with the folks.
Yeah, well, let's just start with, so basically the technical term is like grits are essentially the inside of the corn, right? Without the little casing around it.
Yeah.
And typically if yeah, exactly. The meat of the corn. Didn't know there was meat on corn. And so it is ground up and then basically boiled with in water.
Yeah.
And then served a variety of different ways in a variety of different dishes.
Yeah. Dirty grits are delicious. So that's really popular here in Alabama, where I'm from. And that's when they cook the grits, but then they mix in like the sausage and the gravy stuff with it and get a little dirty. But
Okay. All right. I'm following there. I'm picking up with what you're putting down.
Crying for that, but enough of your heart crying for that. We'll see you in the heart unit up at the hospital.
Right.
For your first triple bypass.
Yes, exactly. So they're served traditionally. So I almost always had grits for breakfast. That was the staple of my grits experience. However, my mother at every Easter and Thanksgiving makes shrimp and grits. So that's probably the most common way that people that aren't from the South have had grits, is when they've had like shrimp and grits.
Yeah.
Which was basically a casserole type of dish with grits and the shrimp together, among other things. But grits by themselves, I always had them as a side at breakfast, and then we would put a ton of butter, maybe some salt and pepper on it.
Yeah.
Cheese was no cheese. I don't think I've ever eaten grits with cheese, honestly.
Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. That's a process what?
Yes.
Oh, it's impossible.
Well, that's I told you my Southern bona fides are a little, iffy because I've been mostly in Texas, but
fly out tonight and rectify this situation. This is bad.
Yeah,
Texas, you can make this happen tonight. Cheese grits.
Right. Cheese grits. Okay. So, but I did
tell recipe.
I did tell you before this that so my wife is more of a Northerner. She's from Chicago, and she only eats her grits with sugar.
That's so crazy.
So she eats them like she puts sugar on it, like sweet, like almost like oatmeal,
Yeah.
right? Oatmeal, you typically put like brown sugar or sugar on it, sweeten
Yeah.
it up. So her grits experience, like she has never eaten grits with butter and has only ever eaten grits with sugar.
I can't process it. Like I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. I can't wrap my mind around the fact that you've never had cheese grits. That's sacrilege almost. Like I almost am like, oh my God. You
Yeah.
what? Lose your identity card for being a bona fide southerner over all that.
Well, I mean, I don't put sugar on them, so I think I'm set.
I haven't gone fully over to the northern side. I'm just saying.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm saying. So this is a real thing. Uh, I highly recommend grits if you've not eaten them. If you're
Oh my
from the
God.
north and you've not been and had grits in the south, it is it's a fine food. Now let's just say you add sugar. Well, you don't add sugar, but some of us do.
Yeah.
You add butter or cheese and other
Cheese.
things because grits are relatively bland by themselves.
I will give you that. Yes, they are.
They are used as a additive or a side dish, and they do need a little doctoring up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a porridge like quality to them.
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, and you can really, I mean, there are a lot of famous chefs. I remember when I was in Charleston, Sean Brock was like the king of all chefs, and he would do his grits. Oh my gosh, they were so good with like two or three different kinds of cheeses, and you'd have onions in them, and oh my stars! By the time you were done, like you didn't even want your meal. You're like, that was good. I don't need anything else. Like yeah. But yeah, they're like a little canvas for creativity.
I
So it
like that.
depends if you want to make a dessert out of it and put some sugar on it. I'll let you, but
All right. Well, it's possible, but yes. All
yeah,
right. I digress. Grits are the bomb.
yeah,
Grits are amazing. They're a Southern staple.
yeah.
Everybody in the South pretty much eats them at one point or another in a dinner as a kind of carrier of other fine foods, as a side at breakfast,
Yeah.
maybe as a dessert if you're kind of out
If you're
there.
feeling crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it.
I think there
Okay.
are, you know what? I've been teasing, but now it makes me wonder because I know there've got to be some recipes out there where somebody's used it for a dessert. You know, there has to be.
I would imagine
Just like
chocolate.
what I was going to tell you earlier is we went down to Monmouth, which is in Natchez, Mississippi, and I've had grits my whole life, including my grandmother. God rest her soul. Hope she can't hear me. Hers couldn't touch this woman at Monmouth. Oh my stars. She made cheese grits that you would cry a single golden tear, like when your plate was clean because they were that good. You just
Mm.
that's all you wanted. And we would every day eat at her little cafe just so we could have them.
Mm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little off topic, but this made me think of another time that I was in the South and somebody served me biscuits with chocolate gravy. I've
Yeah.
only eaten this one time and I had never heard of this before, but I was staying with some folks and they were like, we're having biscuits with chocolate gravy for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the hell? It's
Welcome to heaven.
chocolate gravy.
Welcome to heaven.
I did not know that existed until
Yeah.
that moment. And I gotta say, I mean, this was a long time ago, but I remember it fondly.
So you've opened up a small can of worms because there are two schools on chocolate gravy. There is the thin fudge-like consistency, which is the right way. And then there is the pudding-like consistency, that people also call loblolly. And loblolly or chocolate gravy gets its name from loblolly pines and the mud tar that would be underneath the trees and stuff. So they named it that. My niece, God bless her, makes loblolly. I'm not a fan of that. But now my friend Carol's mama, she's a big woman, used to make chocolate gravy. She used real lard in her biscuits, the whole 9 yards, and oh my stuff. You would eat that, and like even as a teenager, I would finish my plate and be like, I need a cigarette. That was good. Like you just that was as magical comes. And to this day, like it's funny because I had a conversation with this guy. That's my standard. Like I've had chocolate gravy several times, but always I'm like, you nails chocolate gravy, nobody can touch that mess because it just was like, oh my stars. Yeah.
I for some reason that popped into my mind as we were having this, and I figured you probably have a perspective on chocolate gravy that far exceeds my
Oh my gosh.
quasi Southern
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
Because again, I grew up in Oklahoma, and I went to the South, and somebody was like, "We're having chocolate gravy," and I was like, "What is chocolate gravy?" And they were like, "This is a thing." Yeah. Like I said, I'm kind of Southern adjacent. I'm not like fully in. Like Oklahoma, Texas, we're like Southern adjacent. We're not like the deep South. We're like we're the South. We're not the deep South.
Deep South. You're not
Yeah.
the heart of Dixie.
Yeah, exactly.
The arteries of Dixie.
So these things, I know not about all of these things.
Oh my gosh. So all right, that's two things. I'm gonna get you a recipe for the cheese grits.
Okay.
From Monmouth. So and get ready. Tell Kelly this is gonna change her, it's gonna rock her world into the universe. And then I will get you nails chocolate gravy recipe because oh my, it's the fudgy kind, and that's what you want.
I'm not gonna lie, it scares me a little bit. Just the thought of chocolate gravy, I find a little frightening.
Yeah.
Because it just makes me go, should this be done? Should this be like gravy? Biscuits and gravy is pretty decadent food to begin with. And I love biscuits and gravy. I make a mean sausage, cream, gravy, and biscuits. It's one of my youngest sons, it's his favorite breakfast of all time.
Yeah.
But then you go, let's just throw chocolate into the fix. Well, like, I feel a little frightened deep down.
Let's elevate this meal to Elvis status. What? Let's go from a fried peanut butter and banana sandwich to the mecca that is chocolate gravy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we could do that. Okay. All right. So let's jump into our topic for the day around AI adoption metrics. So there was an article that was published just in the last week or so by Harvard Business Review that I read, and I posted about this as well.
Yeah.
Which is basically talking about how AI adoption is stalling within organizations and why it stalls within organizations. Yeah. I had written a piece a couple of weeks ago talking about the need for better AI adoption metrics.
Yes, it's a good one.
So the idea that companies are measuring usage of these tools, right? They're measuring how many people are logging in, how many people are actively using ChatGPT or Jasper or Gemini, whatever. They're measuring those types of things. And that's kind of the baseline metric for AI adoption within an organization.
Right.
What I was saying is basically that's not going to tell you how and if your business is being transformed with AI, because the promise of AI is business transformation, right? Like that's the mecca. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that just by saying, "Oh, 89% of the people are using AI."
Yeah.
This article has a completely different angle, but the output and the logic and the data that they're producing or talking about and referencing supports the argument that these metrics are basically worthless.
Yeah, they're garbage.
So what I'll tell you, so let me explain what the premise of the article. So the article is basically saying that AI adoption stalls, and it's very much related to the psychological impact that AI is having upon the people in our organizations.
Okay.
Let me unpack that. So
Yeah.
what they found is that there is, and this was industry specific. We don't necessarily have to get into all that, but there is some differences by industry. But that there is this underlying angst in employees about AI and the way that it is going to affect their job in the long term.
Yeah.
Right. So we are going to, everyone knows, hey, AI is changing everything. There's all kinds of different things, big layoffs going on at these tech companies and other things like that are because of quote unquote AI. I don't necessarily believe that to be 100% true, but that's a different story for a different day. But they are having anxiety and angst about their job and in the long term.
Sure.
What the data found was something that is completely counterintuitive, which is the employees that have the most angst about AI in the future and long term tend to use AI more than people that have less angst.
That's so crazy. I need to hear it again. All right, what?
So, yeah, I know. That's what I thought when I read this. So, if you have a higher level of angst about your future, the future of your job,
Right.
as it relates to what AI might do, in other words, I might lose my job to AI, or I might make less money, or whatever else that may be.
Right.
You are also have a higher tendency to use AI because, not because of that angst, but just because the higher users of AI have higher angst. It's basically this parallel. And what the conclusion was, and I think this is kind of the headline, if you will, is
Okay.
people are using AI because they know that their jobs are going to be affected by it. So they have this inherent feeling that I need to use this more to keep up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, this angst that I have also makes me not really fully bought in to AI transforming the way I work. So I want to use it more because I know kind of deep down I need to, and I'm kind of anxious about that. So I'm using it more. But I'm also kind of not bought into the fact, and I have fear about what that's going to do to my job prospects and my work long term. And it is a completely counterintuitive scenario, but it's where we're at, right? That's the real
Sure.
thing
Well,
that
it's
we're
almost
experiencing.
like aversion therapy. Like you're afraid of something, but you're forcing yourself to, be immersed in it. Although in the real world, the immersion should get rid of the fear, but it's obviously not getting rid of the fear, which makes me think about something that you had brought up in a past post that you had written about the need for transparency. And I think that's going to be the thing that kind of helps people get over the hump because these fears are going to have to be brought out basically into the light. Like they have to get addressed. And they're going to have to get addressed in an environment where people feel safe, confident, and like they can share exactly what their fears are with regards to AI and why it's because the other thing too, you don't want people working for you that are on your team that are so keyed up all the time because that creates stress, negativity, and all the other stuff, all the bad things that you don't want. So
Deep down, they are, and the other numbers that they put into this was
yeah.
they measured resistance to AI, and the same people that have the most adoption and the most usage and the most angst also have like twice as high of a resistance
Oh my
to
god.
AI. It's double. So, but to your point, I one of the things that when I kind of built out this AI powered growth system, one of the first step, the first two steps, the first two kind of steps and pillars of that system are all around people.
Right.
Because at its core, that is when we talk about adoption, right, from a technology standpoint, adoption always hinges on people.
Yeah.
Whether it's you're adopting a CRM system or anything, people are still the conduit to adoption.
Yes.
So the first two things, or if you say the first one thing you've got to get right around AI is the people side of things, which, to your point, I would argue that clear expectations and full transparency about what the future holds
Yes.
is one of the most important things when it comes to an AI strategy and AI adoption. Because if you are creating a space where people feel safe, they don't fear for their jobs,
Yes.
they understand what role they play in the future as AI gets rolled out and becomes more a part of their day-to-day world, they have the willingness and the ability to get on board with this.
Yeah. There's emotional safety.
Yeah.
And you got to have that.
Yeah. And most organizations don't take the time to do that part right first.
Sure. Yeah.
Because a lot of times they're kind of like this, everyone has this feeling like we're behind, we need to play catch up. So they're racing to get this stuff implemented without spending the time like getting everybody centered and grounded around what we're trying to do. And what I would say, so going back to kind of my topical title, which is your AI adoption metric, why you need new AI adoption metrics, is if you're only measuring usage,
Yeah.
this article tells you explicitly that that is pretty meaningless
Yes.
as it relates to your future
Yes.
return on investment with AI. Because if the same people that use it more have a higher resistance to using it well,
Yes.
you're not going to get very far very fast as it relates to business transformation with AI.
Right. It's going to undermine whatever your goals are. It's going to and it may even be a silent undermine. It may just be things are slowing down and you can't figure out why. And that is the why. And I think, to your point, people have got to address the why. They've got to be fully transparent. And then they've got to dreamcast with people with a level of commitment of, hey, your job's going to change, but you're here. We're invested in you. There's a space for you. You're going to evolve with us. I don't always know what that's going to look like, but we're committed to you. We're going to figure this out together. This is all new territory. We're all pioneers. So let's do this together. And I think even just having those conversations, even that brings a level of peace to people where they're like, okay, okay, I'm willing to delve into this because I have that psychological safety of my employer's got my back. I'm not just a number that they're, gonna go head count. I'm gonna save some bucks.
And that's a different question for this.
Yes.
Will they?
Yeah.
One of the other points that the article makes, and I think it's relevant, is that it points out that when companies are not seeing returns and results with AI, that they tend to double down on the stuff that actually drives people and creates more feel. So they double down on having greater requirements around usage and enforcing that more strictly, because they're like, we're not seeing results on AI. It must be because people aren't using it enough. So we're going to push harder on making sure people use it and make those goals clearer and more direct and enforcing those goals more heavily, which in turn creates this cycle because that is going to make everybody operate in compliance and fear, not
Yeah.
actually out of a desire to grow and learn and transform.
It sets the bar lower too. And I know you and I, know this from years and years, doing HR stuff. When people have autonomy and they're able to say, okay, I'm making decisions for myself, I can push myself, they'll push themselves higher and further than establishing a police state where you're monitoring everything they do and you've got your ruler out where you smack their hand to, because then you get the resistance, and like you said, people will even double down on the resistance they're already producing, which is quite significant, rather than push themselves to, you know what, I'm going to confront this and I'm going to figure it out. And it's a shame. It's a shame because I feel like people should know these lessons. Like I feel like leaders should know this, but I guess because of the newness of AI, all bets are off and everybody's acting crazy. But
Yeah, critical thinking has left the building,
yeah,
is what I like to say.
yeah.
Like AI entered the building and critical thinking left the building.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, because I feel like people are like, well, what, let's forget what I know. Let's just go headlong into doing something crazy. And it's like, that, doubling down on I'm monitoring you and you better do this and you better do that's not going to produce a desire in somebody to want to achieve and do great things for you. That's going to produce this,
Right.
arms folded. I'll tell you what I'm going to do and I'm going to do the bare minimum that you've set out for me, but I'll do no more.
So I'm going to bring this full circle. It might be also fair to say that when somebody invented chocolate gravy, that critical thinking may have left the building.
Critical thinking had reached its zenith, had reached its flourishing fulfillment.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We will see you next time.
All right.